Yes, Hare Krishna, everyone. Welcome back to the Bhagavad Gita Study Circle, and we are in the 147th session of the Bhagavad Gita Study Circle. We are discussing a very interesting chapter, that is the chapter number 14, the three modes of material nature. So this is a very interesting chapter because there are some very nice, important concepts that Krishna is sharing here, and we got to know about these things because ultimately these are controlling us in so many ways. Controlling us means controlling our body because our body is made up of this 24 elements, and these three modes are actually having full control over these 24 elements. So the only thing that they really can't control is the soul because it is beyond the 24 elements. So the three modes of material nature can actually affect these 24 elements, but not the soul. So this way, there are some very interesting things that we should know, the concepts. So we should know that these three modes are having its effect only on the body, the 24 elements, but not on the soul. The soul is completely independent of the effect of these three modes. The soul cannot be actually captured or influenced by these three modes. It is only the body, which is made up of 24 elements, gets influenced by the three modes. Otherwise, the soul is unaffected. But it is the soul's desire to be here in this material world, and that's why we experience the pains and pleasures and happiness and distress. It is because of the choice that the soul has made. Right? So, with all this, let's begin with the pranam mantras. The pranam mantras will be displayed on the screen, so kindly join your palms and chant along with me the pranam mantras. Let's dedicate this session to His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, the founder Acharya of ISKCON, and my beloved spiritual master. नमो विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिन्निति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वते देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधरा श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंदा हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे ओम अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः. Hare Krishna. So, in the previous session, we discussed something very interesting. But before that, I would like to thank Vinodji, Hina Mataji, Kaushik, Achyutanji, and also Lakshmi Mataji, who all have joined today for this session. Thank you very much for joining. So, in the previous session, there are some very wonderful things that Krishna explained to Arjuna. And in case if you have missed the previous session, you can go back and listen to the previous session because there are some key fundamental aspects that we discussed. So Krishna in the previous verse said we had covered until 14.3. Mama yonir mahad brahma tasmin garbham dadamyaham sambhavah sarva bhutanam tato bhavati bharata. So Mahad Brahma, we understood that how this Mahad Brahma actually refers to the Mahat Tattva. Mahat Tattva is the sum total of all material energy which is now impregnated by Krishna, by all these different living entities. The Mahat Tattva is, in one sense, has the conscious, the Chetanas within it, whereas the Pradhana is not having any Chetana. So when the pradhana is influenced by Kala, agitated by Kala, and then that gets transformed into Mahatattva, that is when Krishna impregnates this Mahat Brahma or Mahat Tattva with all the living entities. That's why it's called Mama Yonir. Yoni also refers to the womb of the mother, right? So the material nature is called the mother. So mother is the one who actually takes all of us in that garba, in the huge Mahat Brahma Yonir, and who is the Lord, who is the Father, that is what Krishna is going to say in the upcoming verse. So, in the previous verse also, we understood that how there is, Krishna said, I impregnate, making possible the birth of all living beings, O son of Bharata. We understood there is primary creation, there is secondary creation, there is, which is primary creation is also called as the Prakrita, then it's also called something that is outside the Brahmanda, right? And there is secondary creation, which is called the Vaikrita, which is inside the Brahmanda. So Brahma has his capacity to create only in the secondary creation, that is inside of the Brahmanda. Outside of Brahmanda, he has no control. And then in the three, also we understood that three modes. There is Sattva, there is Shuddha Sattva, Shuddha Rajas, and Shuddha Tamas. There is um, a lot of detailed explanation that is required. Today we will just get into the basics of these three modes. As we progress, we will understand a little deeper about these sattva, the three modes of material nature. So the Shuddha Sattva is reserved for the liberated soul for their pleasure. Rajas, Mahatattva, is actually containing this Rajas because it has the creative ability, and without Rajas there is no creativity. And then tamas is the false ego. And we understood that in the false ego also, the ahankara is Vaikarika ahankara through which the devatas are created, tejas ahankara, that is how the senses are created. And then there is tamas ahankara, the panchabhutas are created. So that is false ego. And we understood the nine stages of creation. There are some wonderful things we discussed about the Mahatattva, the false ego, the sense perception, the tanmatras, the knowledge of the working capacity, then the Devatas, ignorance, avidya also was created. Then Stavara, immovable trees, the six types of trees, the Chara, movable animals are created, and finally humans are created. So there are nine stages of creation which take place in by uh, the Brahma's process of creation, right? Today, let's go and chant the next verse, which is very interesting. So, Kaushik, you can unmute yourself. Let's chant the verse for today.
Hare Krishna.
सर्वयोनिषु कौन्तेय
Sarvayonishu Kaunteya
मूर्तयः सम्भवन्ति यः
Murtaya Sambhavanti Yaha
तासां ब्रह्ममहद्योनिरहं
Tasam Brahma Mahatyonir
बीजप्रदः पिता.
Aham Bija Pradapita
Once again, सर्वयोनिषु कौन्तेय
Sarvayonishu Kaunteya
मूर्तयः सम्भवन्ति यः
Murtaya Sambhavanti Yaha
तासां ब्रह्ममहद्योनिरहं
Tasam Brahma Mahatyonir
बीजप्रदः पितः.
Aham Bija Pradapita.
Okay, wonderful. Please read the translation.
Hare Krishna. It should be understood that all aspects of life, O son of Kunti, are made possible by birth in this material nature, and that I am the seed giving Father. Hare Krishna.
Wonderful. So Krishna is saying here that I am the father of every living entity, all the living entities that are existing in this universe and all the multifold universes which are existing in this whole material creation. There are unlimited, so many living entities. And Krishna is saying that I am the father of all the living entities. You can imagine the power and capacity of Krishna. It's not so ordinary thing. To be a father of so many children is not an ordinary thing. you can imagine the strength and the power that the Lord has. And He not just creates them, but He also maintains them. And the total creation is just one fourth of it. Material creation is just pado o savishva bhutani tripadasya divi. So one fourth is actually the material creation, and three fourth is the spiritual creation. So you can imagine the number of living entities are there, and all the living entities are created by Krishna. See, I think on June 15th or 14th we celebrate the Father's Day, right? Actually, Krishna is the real Father. And that day we are supposed to celebrate and worship Krishna. That is the real, in one sense, the Father's Day will have some meaning to it when actually we worship Krishna because he is the seed giving Father of all living entities. Not just humans, but everyone. So, if there is someone who thinks that I am born anatha, I am born an orphan, it is a wrong conception. We should always know that we are not born orphans. No, we are not like that. It's not that. We are always having an eternal Father and He's sitting right with us as Paramatma. So nobody is an orphan actually. From the material perspective, we see that, oh, this child doesn't have parents. But ultimately, when we know this reality that Krishna is our father, true father, then we know that we are not orphans. And it's a great relief because when you know that you're not an orphan, you will know that I have been protected all the time, right? Because what's the parent's duty? The parent's duty is to protect the child, to nourish the child, to take care of the child. And in true sense, Krishna is doing that because he is actually supplying the food, he's supplying the air to breathe, he's supplying all the basic necessities for our existence. So, in one sense, he is actually our true father. Because you see, when we call our parents also as our parents, oh, because they are the source of our origin, we get connected to them, attached to them. But when we ask the further question that who are his parents or our parents' parents or grandparents, right? Because our parents are not going to exist all the time. Our grandparents are not going to exist all the time. They're not going to be there all the time with us. So when we go further up like this, we see that the ultimate creator, the ultimate father is the supreme father is actually Krishna. So that's why Krishna is saying, Aham bija pradapita. And when you want to love Krishna, the important thing is that we have to love every other creation also, all the other living entities. Then Krishna is satisfied. No, it's not that we kill one animal, eat it nicely, and then go to Krishna and say, oh, Krishna, I love you very much. You are my father. Krishna will not accept this kind of love because he will say, get lost. I don't want you, I don't want your love. You killed my other child, you ate that child, and now you're coming in saying that you love me. See how many people who are non vegetarians, they don't realize this. When you know that we have a common father, you will not kill your siblings, right? Which father will accept your love when you kill the other child of the same father? Nobody will accept, no father will accept it, right? Because for a father, all the children are equal. So for Krishna, all the goats and the chickens and all the other different animals that people eat, for, for Krishna, they're all children. But how insensitive we are that although Krishna has given wonderful food for us, we go and eat all these animals and then we say, oh, Krishna, I love you very much. That is not love. Krishna doesn't accept this kind of love because we should know the sensitivity of, oh, he's a father. How can I kill my brothers and sisters and then I say that I love Krishna? That's not possible. So that's why if we want to love Krishna, why we say no meat eating is because we understand this fact that Krishna is the Father. Krishna is the Supreme Father. And that's why we need to actually accept this authority of Krishna. And then it's so wonderful because all the stress that we have, oh, that somebody should take care of me, somebody should love me all the time. That need that soul has, we all have, will be automatically satisfied because Krishna is eternal, we are eternal. So we should know that we have a very strong connection with Krishna because he's saying, I am your father. Just like we are so connected to our parents, right? We are so connected to our mother and father because we are thinking that they are our origin. My origin is because of my parents. But when we deeply philosophically understand and understand this particular verse, when Krishna is saying, I am your father, I'm the seed giving father of every living entity, you will know that, oh, he's my origin. My real true origin is Krishna. So when you have this understanding that he is my origin, then the next question comes, how can I get connected to my origin? See, when you get connected to your father, you want to serve him. We all serve our parents in one way or the other, right? We want to love them, we want to take care of them. There is a nice loving relationship that develops because, oh, they are my origin. The sense of gratitude is there. So, similarly, when you understand that Krishna is my origin, you will develop that sense of gratitude towards the Lord. I need to do something. He's just not my origin, but when He's my origin, I also need to do something, and that is seva. And by doing seva, what is happening? My relationship, my bonding with Krishna becomes stronger and stronger. And when that relationship between us and Krishna becomes stronger, we will be able to get out of these three modes, sattva, rajas, and tamas. That is exactly the point. That is the point that we are discussing here. The point is that we have to get out of these three modes. And who can take us out of these three modes? Our Supreme Father. So that's why Krishna is saying, please understand the importance of our relationship. Krishna is saying, you understand this relationship nicely. Why? Because when you understand and develop a bonding with me nicely, then I will pick you out of these three modes. You will not be anymore a puppet under the control of these three modes, sattva, rajas, and tamas. So now you understand how wonderful it is. We have one is to have a loving relationship with Krishna, which is so joyful and so wonderful because Krishna is reciprocating in so wonderful way. But at the same time, Krishna is also promising that I will take you out of this three modes of material nature. We can transcend the sattva, rajas, and tamas. That is how beautiful it is. So Krishna is the Supreme Father. Let's accept this. Let us not go and uh, feel anywhere in any sense I'm an orphan. Many times it so happens in today's, especially the Kali Yuga in the modern times, we see that people do have relationships. They have their parents, they have their siblings, they have their friends, but somehow, for some reasons, although we call ourselves to be within a family, we are all disconnected. And one very strong reason for the disconnection is everybody is so involved with their own selfish interest and another demon that has come in the form of mobile phone. The mobile phone actually says that we are connected, but in one sense it disconnects us because we are within a family staying together, but this person has taken away all the attention, our attention, and we are not able to give attention to our own family members. So, what happens is when we get so caught up with these things, all these mobile phones and gadgets, so our attention is captivated and completely taken over by these mobile phones, and we are not really understanding that attention that we are supposed to give to our own family, we are not able to give them. We are not giving the required attention. Whole day we'll be in the same hall and looking at the same screens and we feel disconnected. We disconnect ourselves. So when this kind of disconnection happens, then what happens is slowly, because we are social beings, right? We are social beings, and social beings is not that we be social only online. We will experience our true sense of being social only when we are offline. This is very important point because human beings means we want to be social, but this really cannot satisfy all the needs of our social existence. We need to be offline and interact with people. And why, in spite of having so many friends online on Facebook and Insta and so many other social media platforms, people are still going into depression. Yesterday I was reading an article and it was saying that India is soon gaining up so much of depression cases. Every one person out of 20 is getting into depression today. And why this depression is because somehow we are feeling, although we have a family, we feel that we are orphans. There is no one to take care of us. There is no one to really care about us. So this kind of sense comes up within people and they feel that they are orphans. So that is why now it is more important to get connected, even more important to get connected to Krishna, because now he is someone who can satisfy our social needs also. But for that we need to really get connected with him strongly, and that's why Bhagavad Gita and Prabhupada is stressing that you chant the regulative chant the Hare Krishna mantra, follow the regulative principles, so that we have a strong bonding. And the best thing is Krishna is always present everywhere. Whether internet is there or not, Krishna is going to be there all the time. So that is the beauty of being with Krishna all the time. So this is why Krishna is sharing this very important thing with us, that please be connected, and I am your father. He's reminding us, I am your father. And since I am your father and I am father of every living entity, you better respect others also, other living entities. So that is very important. So let's chant the next verse. Achyutanji, you can unmute yourself and let's chant the fifth verse. Satvam rajastamaithi
सत्त्वं रजस्तम इति
guna prakriti sambhavaha
गुणा प्रकृतिसम्भवः
nibadnanti mahabaho
निबध्नन्ति महाभावो
dehe dehinamavyayam.
देहे देहीनमव्ययम्
Once again, let's do that. Satvam rajastamaiti
सत्त्वं रजस्तम इति
guna prakriti sambhavaha
गुणा प्रकृतिसम्भवः
nibadnanti mahabaho
निबध्नन्ति महाभावो
dehe dehinamavyayam.
देहे देहीनमव्ययम्.
Yes, wonderful. Please read the translation.
Material nature consists of three moods: goodness, passion, and ignorance. When the eternal living entity comes in contact with nature, O mighty armed Arjuna, he becomes conditioned by these moods. Hare Krishna.
Yes. So, very important. Thank you so much. Sattvam rajas tama iti guna prakriti sambhava nibadnanti mahabhav dehe dehi namavya. What happens is, Krishna is saying that there are these three modes, and these three modes are very, very powerful, and these three modes bind us. Sattva, rajas, and tamas. I told you in the previous session also that how it really doesn't matter whether you are bound with a golden chain or a silver chain or a iron chain. Now we can't say that, oh, I have been bound with a golden chain, I am a greater person. No, you are still bound. You are not free. So sattva guna is like that. It is definitely good, but then you're still bound. So nibadnanti, all these three modes. Modes means what? In Latin, mode means modus. Modus means to measure. So it is that to different degrees, it measures and binds us. So sattva, it measures our guna karma of the past and binds us to a certain degree. Rajas, it considers our guna and karma in the past and binds us even more. And then there is tamas, which binds us even stronger. So based on our karma. So based on our past guna and karma, our desires, we are bound by one of these chains of sattva, rajas, or tamas. But ultimately, we are still bound. Krishna is saying, you are bound. So a living entity is bound. Now, when we say living entity is bound, how is it bound? This is again a philosophical understanding and question that comes up. See, now, in the second chapter, Krishna is told that Nainam Chindanti Shastrani, Nainam Dahati Pavakaha. A soul cannot be cut into pieces, soul cannot be burned, soul cannot be dried, soul cannot be put into water and made wet. Nothing can happen to the soul, right? Then when nothing can happen to the soul, then how is the living entity get bound by the three modes? So it's not that the soul itself is there and the three modes are binding the soul. The soul cannot be bound. You cannot really bind the soul like that. But the soul has the consciousness, right? And the soul has the false ego. So the three modes are actually capturing the false ego, which is now strongly embedded in our consciousness. And because this false ego is strongly embedded in our consciousness, the soul consciousness, through the interference or the interface, not interference, it is interface of this false ego, the three modes actually bind us. The three modes cannot directly bind the soul, but through the medium of this false ego, the three modes bind the soul, not directly. Because the soul is something that cannot be touched by matter. And three modes means it's matter coming out of the Mahat Tattva. So matter cannot touch the soul. But still it is binding. Why? Because of the false ego which is embedded in the consciousness of the soul. So please understand, there is a very shukshma binding that is actually connecting us all to this material world. If somehow or the other we can cut off that bond of false ego, and when we realize that, oh, I have a true ego, I am the servant of Krishna, instead of thinking that I am the master, when we start understanding that I am the servant of Krishna, then what happens is we cut off that false ego. And when we cut off that false ego, we get disconnected from the three modes. All these three modes will automatically relieve you. It's a wonderful thing, right? So we have to carefully analyze all the time in our day-to-day dealings also. Am I acting on the basis of false ego? I'm the master, I'm the doer. This is all popping out of false ego. So we have to be careful in our dealings. So why we always say that you have to serve other Vaishnavas and the deities? Because when we serve, that false ego is subdued. More and more you subdue this false ego, the better it is for all of us. Because we are coming out of the three modes, the effect of three modes. By service, we come out of three modes of material nature. This is a secret. Okay, so it's very interesting. So this is about the three modes. They are binding all of us. Now, Hina Mataji, unmute yourself. Let's chant the next verse. Very briefly, we'll touch upon the different modes today. Three modes. Okay, one second. One second, one second. Yeah, so this is the fifth verse. So let's go to sixth verse. Yeah. So Hina Mataji can unmute. तत्र सत्त्वं निर्मलत्वात्
तत्र सत्त्वं
ओके प्रकाश्यकम् अनामयम् सुखसङ्गेन बध्नाति ज्ञानसङ्गेन चानघ. All right. I think because there is a disturbance, we'll please read the translation. Yeah. Yes. All right. I got the point. Yes. Thank you. So Krishna is now explaining about the Sattva Guna in the verse number 6. O sinless one, the mode of goodness, being purer than the others, is illuminating and it frees one from all sinful reaction. Those situated in that mode become conditioned by the sense of happiness and knowledge. So, very interesting. This mode of Sattva is very special. Why it is special? Because The first thing that this mode does is actually it takes us out of the impious activities, the papa karma. Sattva frees us from papa guna. See, for example, now, when we started the Bhagavad Gita session also in the initial days last 3 years ago. So, some of us, we had so many other unwanted things. For example, meat eating was there, a part of our life. But then what happened was the more and more we developed this sattva guna, we actually started giving up these uh, unwanted habits. We gave up those unwanted habits. So what's happening now with that consciousness? We are developing more and more sattva guna. So that sattva guna frees us from all the papa karmas. So it is definitely a very good thing, because a person in sattva guna will never indulge in meat eating, gambling, intoxication, illicit sex. All these things he will not involve, because he has reached that state of sattva guna. So automatically, to a greater extent, he is come out of the papa. So impious activities. So when you are not burdened by papa, you feel very light. So in sattva a person feels very, very light. He gains a lot of knowledge. Another symptom of this sattva is he gains a lot of knowledge. Knowledge just flows into these people because they can understand the finer aspects of spirituality very easily in sattva. See, if that is why we tell, or Prabhupada is saying that you follow the four regulative principles, is this one reason that it will make us come to the stage of Sattva. And in Sattva, we can actually inquire about the finer things, about philosophy, about all that wonderful concepts and philosophy that has been given in our scriptures, the Bhagavatam and the Bhagavad Gita, right? Because that fine understanding comes when you are in Sattva. So people of Brahminical nature, people who are scientists, they all come into this category of Sattoguna because they acquire knowledge. A person in Rajoguna and Tamoguna, they really cannot understand or get knowledge as much as a person in Sattva. A person in Sattva can really understand the situations much better. So that's why it is good to have a person as a counselor who is in Sattva. And especially the devotees, they can be the best counselors for everyone. Why? Because every morning the devotees are waking up and they're chanting, they're attending the Mangalarti. By doing so in the Brahma Muhurta, the Sattva influences so much. And because they are constantly worshipping the Lord and they are following all the four regulative principles, there is so much of Sattva. And when devotees really sincerely practice all these, they get a lot of clarity. That clutter which is there in the mind is cleared. And that's why they can guide others very nicely, because they can see things as they are. So, but today, anybody is just coming on YouTube, anybody is just coming on the social media platforms, and they start speaking anything that they want. But in reality, it really does not make much uh, effect or difference in the person who is listening, because the person who is speaking is himself not really following what he is speaking. So that kind of thing will not really help. So Satvaguna, a person acquires a lot of knowledge. And sometimes, because he has acquired a lot of knowledge, that can become an impediment. That's what Prabhupada is saying. Because they acquire a lot of knowledge, that might actually make them feel proud, that they can become conditioned by the sense of happiness that they are experiencing. I have a wonderful family, I have my children, I have my wonderful wife, and we stay in a very nice family, in a nice home, we have a car, we have all the material comforts that we have. When people have all these different comforts in the home, and I have a certain type of social status, he wants to maintain all these things and have so much of nice spiritual knowledge and happiness. Sense of happiness is there. When people get accustomed to this kind of happiness coming through the material relationships and material possessions, then that can actually bind them. So many times people get stuck to the knowledge also that they have acquired. Knowledge is a medium to go closer to Krishna, but not that it's an ultimate thing. Only when that knowledge leads you closer to Krishna, that knowledge is good. But if the knowledge itself is binding you from going closer to Krishna, then that knowledge is of no use. So many times people get stuck because of knowledge. So we should always, just like water flows, knowledge should keep flowing. Then it is good. So in Sattva Guna, people, there is a chance that the knowledge doesn't flow, but it becomes stagnated. They don't want to take anything more, and then they may get caught up, not reaching Krishna. So that is a danger here. Okay, there are many more things to discuss, but we will go one by one. So let's chant the next verse. So Vinodji, you can unmute yourself. Let's chant the next verse. Rajoguna. Okay, this is also very important. So Vinodji, you can unmute yourself. Okay, looks like there is a certain problem. So Achyutanji, you can unmute yourself. Let's chant the next verse. Is there a technical problem from my side?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Ah, yes, I think now you are. Yeah. Yes, Vinodji. Let's chant the words. Rajo ragatmakam vidhi
रजोरागात्मकं विधि
Krishna sanga samudbhavam
तृष्णा संगासमुद्भवम्
tannibadnati kaunteya
तन्निबध्नाति कौन्तेय
karma sangena dehinam.
कर्मसङ्गेन देहिहम्.
Once again. Rajo ragatmakam vidhi
रजोरागात्मकं विधि
Krishna sanga samudbhavam
तृष्णा संगासमुद्भवम्
tannibadnati kaunteya
तन्निबध्नाति कौन्तेय
karma sangena dehinam.
कर्मसङ्गेन देहिनम्.
Wonderful. Please read the translation.
The mode of passion is born of unlimited desires and longings, O son of Kunti. And because of this, the embodied living entity is bound to material fruitative actions. Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much. I must definitely say that your pronunciation of Sanskrit has definitely improved over a period of time. Nice.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
So the mode of passion is born of unlimited desires and longings. Ah, O son of Kunti, and because of this, the embodied living entity is bound to material fruitive actions. You see, the mode of passion drives us crazy. This one guna, Rajo guna, is a mode of passion constantly making us restless. Why? Because this mode of passion is such that it constantly makes us run behind the results. We are not satisfied unless we get results. And what happens? There is a lot of competition that comes in. We are competing with people, we are competing with peers, we are competing within the family, sometimes we are competing with us also. So that competitive nature is because of this Rajoguna. I want to be better than others. And Rajoguna is such that, you always want to show off. You want to be, always under the limelight. You want to really display all the powers that you have. That is Rajoguna. You're in action. Rajoguna means you are not lazy person. You're always in action. Satvaguna person also is not a lazy person, but he contemplates. He's a Brahmana. He does a lot of mental work, intellectual work. But Rajoguna is more of action, less of thinking. Rajoguna people are, they are always into action. They want to act first and then think. Satvaguna people, they think first and then they act. That's the difference. So, Rajoguna people, they always constantly are disturbed. Why? Because not that every time the results will be in our favor, right? So, people, they get frustrated very easily. And in today's modern society is mostly driven by Rajoguna. And Rajoguna, the primary symptom of Rajoguna is not knowledge, but the primary symptom of Rajoguna is the attraction between a male and a female. So when there is this attraction, then Rajoguna becomes even more intense. So when a male and a female they come together and then they have children, that Rajoguna intensifies even more. Then he thinks that, oh, I have a wife, I have a children, and then I have a big house. You want to be very um, have a maintain that social status. All these things he wants to do, and he works so hard. People today in the society, we see this practically. They work so hard to maintain that status quo of material well-being, and this is a symptom of Rajoguna. They're constantly running passionately to maintain themselves. No, such people cannot acquire knowledge. They are too restless to acquire spiritual knowledge because spiritual knowledge means it wants a person's minds to be calmed down. But in Rajaguna, that doesn't happen. Rajaguna person is very passionate, and he is, even if he comes for a spiritual session, he is only looking after what's his profit. What am I going to gain in this? So that is Rajaguna. Rajaguna always thinks about profit. I follow or I don't follow, but I will see only what's my profit in this. Rajaguna people are like that. Okay, so Rajaguna is a little lower than the Sattva, little lower than Sattva, because it binds you a little strongly to these material things. That is why. Okay, that is one thing. So, Kaushik, you can unmute yourself. Let's chant the next verse.
Yep.
Verse number 8. Tamastvajnanajam viddhi.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, you want to put the
Yeah, just
presentation?
sorry,
Oh.
sorry. Yeah.
Tamastvajnanajam vidhi
Mohanam sarvadehinam
mohanam sarvadehinam
pramadalasya nidrabhis
pramadalasya nidrabhis
tannibadnati bharata.
tannibhadnati bharata
Once again, tamastvajnanajam viddhi
tamastvajnanajam vidhi
mohanam sarvadehinam
mohanam sarvadehinam
प्रमादालस्य निद्राभिः
pramadalasya nidrabhis
निबध्नाति भारत.
tannibhadnati bharata.
Wonderful. Please read the translation.
O son of Bharata, know that the mode of darkness, born of ignorance, is the delusion of all embodied living entities. The results of this mode are madness, indolence, and sleep, which bind the conditioned soul. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Now this is the lowest actually. Very dangerous this is. This Rajoguna, Tamoguna are lower forms of modes. And in Tamoguna, people they get caught up so deeply into material existence that it is opposite to Sattva. Sattva means knowledge, but in Tamoguna is completely opposite. It's ignorance. That's why Brahma creates both. He creates knowledge also. He creates ajnana also. I told you last time. Ajnana was also created. So ignorance was created. So this Tamoguna people are full in ignorance, and they really are not interested in developing any sort of knowledge because they are too lazy. Very lazy people. Rajoguna is even better because at least he is active and he runs around. But lazy people are, this ignorance, this people in Tamoguna, they will just lie down on the couch and they want to order that pizza, pasta, and everything on the couch only. They want to eat everything there only. They are so lazy, they don't want to go and cook also. They want to order everything, they want to eat everything at on the couch, watch TV, and do nothing productive. They are so lazy, and because their food habits are also very, very obnoxious. Their whole existence is very obnoxious because these people are very, very degraded and negative. They always think negative about others. They always want to pull down people. You see, these terrorists, all tamasic people, they really don't care what others may feel or how others may, get into trouble. They really don't care about all these things. They just kill people. They are not compassionate people. So people who are tamasic, they do all such activities, all extreme unwanted things are conducted by these people in tamoguna. So they are so ignorant that they don't know what is the true purpose of their life. They are simply lying down there, sleeping all the time, and no activity at all. Just eat, sleep, and that's it. This is madness. They are not creative at all. They will not create anything new. They just want to eat and sleep because it is deeply embedded in their consciousness. See, generally, 6 hours of sleep is good enough. But these people sleep for 17 hours, 18 hours. They just want to sleep because they feel that there is nothing that they can do in life. That's a hopeless condition. Tamoguna means hopeless condition. Now, the question is, which mode are you in? Are you a Sattva person? Are you a Rajoguna person? Are you a Tamoguna person? Now, frankly speaking, we are not, a fully Sattva, fully Rajas, or fully Tamas. There is a different ratio of Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas in each one of us. You will see a same person in the morning, he'll be in Sattva afternoon, Rajoguna, running around the offices, and evening, he has into Tamoguna, he'll go to sleep. Sleep means Tamoguna. And by the way, I should tell you, this Sattva, Rajas, and Tamas, all these three gunas are present within us. And they are required also. For example, now, if there is no Tamoguna, we cannot sleep. For sleeping, you need Tamoguna. Tamoguna has to affect you. It's then, after that influence of Tamoguna, we go to sleep. So Tamoguna has its value, but when it is disproportionate, then it makes a big problem to us. So each one of these three modes, as long as we have this material body, has a certain effect within us, and they have a certain positive side also. But when it's disproportionate, it creates problem. So that is why we are not purely sattva, we are not purely rajas, we are not purely tamasic also. But our aim and goal should be that now I have to raise myself to sattva guna. I should give up all these lower modes, the rajasic and tamasic modes. How can we do that? One thing is, not one thing, there are several things that we can do. The first thing is waking up early in the morning. So when we wake up and have a habit of waking up before the sunrise, it really will bring up our consciousness to sattva guna. If we are eating sattvic ahara, sattvic food all the time, then what happens is automatically our consciousness will be raised to sattva guna. If we are dealing with sattvic people, associating with sattvic people, automatically our sattva guna will raise. So these are some practical things that we can do on a day-to-day basis. Our eating, our sleeping, and also our association. When we maintain these things properly within the sattva guna, then I think we will very quickly come to the mode of sattva guna, and that sattva guna will really make us digest this knowledge of Bhagavad Gita. And when we understand deeply about these modes and the good qualities that the Sattva Guna can offer us, then more and more knowledge will flow into us. Because Sattva Guna means it gives you a platform to acquire more knowledge. So why we have to come to this Sattva Guna? Because we are discussing Bhagavad Gita, and for discussing Bhagavad Gita, a person should be to some level of Sattva Guna should be there. Otherwise, not possible. Recently, I'll tell you, there was a Mataji who came and said, Prabhuji, I want to learn Bhagavad Gita. Can I have one-on-one session? Because I cannot come on for an online session. I want to understand Bhagavad Gita offline, and understand about it, all the 18 chapters. Then I said, all right. And then the day was fixed, the time was fixed when I called. Uh, no, first she said that the very first meeting that was actually scheduled, she said that I cannot come because there is something else, some other engagement. So it was postponed to another date. And then on that day, when I messaged, then she said, no, there is some guest that has come. You see how we get caught up? Now she is interested, not that she is not interested. But then the other things are influencing. She's not taking this as a priority. Then finally I said, that if you want to learn Bhagavad Gita, you first, before even we have sessions, you start reading the Bhagavad Gita. Then, if you have questions, then you come. Because I wanted to really understand if this person is really interested or is simply saying that I want to come and listen to Bhagavad Gita. Then, after a few days, I asked her again, did you start reading Bhagavad Gita? She said, no. You see how Maya tricks us? And it also happens because there is no sufficient sattva guna. When sattva actually comes up, you will actually give priority to reading and understanding Bhagavad Gita. Now, the good thing is that Mataji is coming and doing seva in the temple. So, what is happening now? By doing seva, slowly that sattva will rise. And hopefully, one day she will start reading Bhagavad Gita and she will also ask questions. And by asking questions, probably she'll get more details about her own life, better way. Right? So these things we have discussed today is a very just an overview of the three gunas today that we have understood. There are many more things that we have to discuss, and there is so much that we need to know because on a day-to-day basis they are going to influence, and they're influencing right now also. So, in different aspects of our life, these three modes are affecting us, influencing us. So, you should know. So you will be bewildered sometimes. Morning time we are so chanting and meditating, and you are chanting so nicely, peaceful, and suddenly one phone call, and somebody in the office or in the family they yell at you, and and then immediately that anger comes. You will immediately shift from sattva to rajaguna. Hey, now you will become like a tiger, blasting everybody. It's like rajaguna takes, full action. And then slowly after a while, then you will feel tired. How much can I fight now? Okay. Then tamoguna will influence and say, okay, let me go to sleep. You see? So we are influenced constantly. People talk about mood swings. Mood swings, how do they happen? The mood swings happen because of this shift in gunas only. When the sattva to rajaguna, rajaguna to tamoguna to sattva tamoguna to rajaguna to sattva all these combinations, when these modes change, our moods change. So we should understand when a person is acting and behaving differently, this is a clear symptom. इसका मोड चेंज हो गया. ये पहले सत्वगुण में था, अभी रजोगुण में आ गया. Oh नहीं, रजोगुण में था, अभी तमोगुण में चला गया. So we can see this play of modes. We are puppets in the hands of these three modes. We are puppets. Krishna is saying, you know that I am the father and I'll take you out of this puppet show. We need to get out of this puppet show. We cannot be controlled all the time. We don't like to be controlled all the time, right? Each one of us want to be free. So if you are really seeking for freedom, then join for the next session. Okay? Until then, please take care. We will meet again. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare
Hare
Krishna.
Krishna. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Chidanji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna,
Chidanji.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna Dev. Hare Krishna.
Live stream.